there's a boat right there. Hi. Fucking turret. Ah, startled me. Fucking annoying ass base. Fucking trap base, piece of shit. Somebody's throwing a smoke. I need binoculars, like, pretty much now. We'll watch what happens here. Might be a fight over there. Targeting me somehow? Wait, did I hear somebody jump or was that me? Well, I want you to hide in any event. Why did you target me? That seems weird. Unlock that target. Why did that happen? Anyways. Pull the drones back now. Not bad today. I pulled 46 mil, which is good. That's good. It's a Tuesday. Currently 1:30. Now that seems odd. Tell me that's just not like landing in the water right there. I'll die if I go over there, right? I'm just going to it, I don't care. Note to self, come back. Wait, why is that right there? Wait, this is recently rated? It is. Wow, it's a free 8x. That is so good that I'm just going home. I don't know. Yeah, I'll take that over that. Yep. And, yeah, shit, I'll take free stuff. Yeah, I'll take free stuff. Free stuff. Free stuff time. I wish I had a way to use the 8x to see if somebody's gonna loot that crate. Like, tell me that crate isn't just sitting there, right? I didn't come. There's no way the crate is just sitting there. There's no way. There's no way. I'm just getting out of bolty range here. That's a good get for me. It's a free 8x. I couldn't have asked for anything better. Get it home, get it home, get it home. That was such a good haul. I can't believe I just peeked in there and found that. Go. Gotta get home. Okay, this op's ending. Gotta go home.
Autopilot engaged. Warping to Stargate. Autopilot engaged. Drive active. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active.
Oh, don't run the water. Whoa, you ran past the base. I got the 8x. I got the 8x. I got the 8x. I got the 8x. Yeah, that skips a whole lot of work for me. Well, sweet. That's the first thing that goes up. 500. You know what I'm saying? Or no, 125. 125. I'll need a T3. I'm a bit away, but it's good that I get to skip through. You know? Alright, yeah, there was some stuff there. The battery's okay, I guess, you know? Yeah. I guess I'll put down a free box and just use it. What else is decaying around this neighborhood? Free 8x, free 8x. Yeah, free 8x. Free 8x.
Approaching
Yeah.
Stargate.
So, yeah, right? I can do that, right? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. So, dump. And I don't know what it is I need to do. I'm pretty much slower now. Can worry about EvE a little bit more, Final Fantasy and stuff. So, gotta keep crafting. There we go. And then, requesting Orca Pilot, 1709. Nope, never mind.
Autopilot jumping.
Absolute.
Autopilot jumping. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active.
Okay, this song, I don't know about 4 hours of this. We'll pop around. I feel like this game's not doing so well. Ugh. Yeah, it doesn't seem to like me. Oh no, there we go. It was just reducing the frames for some reason. That's
Approaching
okay.
Stargate.
You good?
Autopilot jumping. Autopilot jumping. Warping to station. Warp drive active. Warping to station. Warp drive active. Approaching station. Approaching station.
Laptop, nice. I mean, take the tech trash, really.
Docking request accepted. Docking request accepted. Autopilot disabled. Autopilot disabled. Waypoint reached.
Okay, the alt goes to sleep for the minute. Oh no, maybe it's time for their boosters now. Yeah, it's time to push off. So I've got a trader one. I'm out in the open. I've got to fix that first. Their stuff is not a rush. I can't see my OBS to see which one you did. God damn it. Ah. There. So, trying to, dump this stuff. Nice. There goes another 30 or 40 mil. And she needs to get high. Let's see what I've got. There. See, I thought ahead. I was like, how are we going to boost today? Okay, so gonna trade her. Oops. Master at Arms Cerebral Accelerator. Boom, pushed off. Boom. Got it within an hour. 2 days and 4 hours. I nailed it almost to the minute. I just knew instinctually. I love that schedule. Okay, so we're good on her. She can log now. She sleeps. I'm just going to glance at her skill tree. Drone navigation to 5. Hey, not bad. Not bad. Okay, long range drone interface. Oh yeah, her daily and stuff. Yeah, so 31,000 skill points. Redeemed to home station. 7,500 ever marks. 10,000 skill points. Close. And then, yeah. We pull hers, stick it in. That's what he said. Stack. Okay, it is an off time on a Tuesday. You know, I could go faction warfare, or I could just wait for the next stop. Let's take a look at the before I log her. Let's go. I bet I'll just have to log her back in again. So going to social to content to. Fleet Finder. I could go faction warfare, but I think I'd rather play Rust. We'll log her. Give me the bandwidth. A little bit better. It's capping me at 60 for some reason, but it is not capping EvE. I'm getting 197 on EvE, so 202. So I don't know. Ooh, free metal frags. Damn it! Someone came through here so like recently. guess we're just Supermen now. We can see in the dark. I want those gears. Oh, did I get the display capture off? I'm sorry there. Get the fuck out of here. Hopefully I can make it home before dawn if I just cut through and stay off the road as I run across it. I came for that milk crate and I'm learning that somebody's got it on automatic farm right now. So I best just start running harbor, I guess. Because that seems untouched. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh. Life flashed before my eyes. Oh, please don't ever let reality get like that. Oh. I hear either a bear or a horse. Nice, that's a good haul. I mean, no one's here. Might as well take it since I'm here. I haven't heard any raids in a while, but about an hour. That's patrol. Yeah, it is. Sounds close, too. Fuck, I don't know what to do. If it gets close, I'll just have to drop my armor. And this, like, bone knife. I should have checked for red barrels right there, but I'm also nervous about the helicopter. Beautiful. Just beautiful sunrise. It's good timing too. I hope I don't get kicked here. The oncoming morning traffic could be coming down the road here. I need to like get out of here. Can't stop. Tell me this isn't the most beautiful game. I really feel it is. It's such a naturalist. Nice, 1200 metal, not bad. $360 scrap. Bunch of metal, starting to look a little better. Eventually I'll be able to just swim right to the fucking recycler. Just do all that, take it for bullets and stuff, and go run train tunnel maybe. But yeah, for now looks good. It's starting to stack. It's starting to feel good. For a live server, we're doing pretty well for a solo player, I would say. Alright, so until somebody raids me anyways, I will cook some pig meat. I can hear hand grenades or landmines going off. Okay, so what next? Something. Somebody keeps doing something that's annoying. I wasted some metal frags, but that's alright. Wow, I pulled a lot of alcohol already. Oh, jeez. I did it. I figured it all out. I figured it all out. I figured out how to do it all and try to maintain a career and not let OBS kill me. You know? Or Microsoft or any of these other entities that somehow figured it out. Ugh. 4:15. Damn fucking turrets. There we go. A little bit better. I do want to drop it. Back down to medium. Try to buy the frames. Yep, 90 FPS. And then Oh, somebody bought all the damn silver ore out from under me. Son of a bitch. I was trying to pay attention, but I didn't get it. Oh, well, that's okay. Someone competing with me. I lost this, damn it. door is protected. It's good. Made a lot of progress really fast. That's kind of bad, frankly. But I mean, eh. It's still just a foyer. Doesn't matter. Oh, I got that 8X. Damn it, Charlene. I'm hoping that Atomic Heart will go for sale on the Steam summer sale. I want to go add it to my wish list. I want to buy this game, and I want to beat the hell out of it. I loved this game. Atomic Heart. See, there's a new Limbo too, or sorry, there's new DLC too. Yeah, I love this fucking game. 60 bucks. Our premium edition is $100. That's a bear? Do I hear a bear? Maybe it was gunfire. Oh no, that was Final Fantasy. Killed him. Good fight, buddy. Good fight. Hey, binoculars, I need them. Get me out of here. Good kill, good kill. And so I slips away into my secret base. Schwa. Schwa. Got a good kill. You didn't really have anything, but I mean, it was a good kill. Gotta go chop wood. Gotta remember how to say Aoka. If I chop wood, I can go make fire arrows, which will help me kill people out here faster. So I'm gonna go chop wood like over there where they can't hear it. Where does that kid live? Get me about 2 trees. I don't need a lot. I just need to burn the furnace and make some flame arrows. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna lurk by the door. I'm gonna do other stuff. And if anybody runs down the road, I'm gonna fuck them over with flame arrows. Or maybe, if I have enough stuff, maybe I can make a revolver, but I kind of doubt it. I'd have to go find like sulfur node. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna take this and we're going to... Ooh, I can recycle for some cloth because I kind of need it. One revolver would get me a nice kill, you know? Try to see what I can do. I like this knife, I want to keep it. I almost have enough to train with, but I don't. It's okay. I hate to say this, but I should probably change my name now, because if they identify with my stream, they'll just watch me all day and gank me. And I don't want them to know I'm streaming, you know? I could change my name. I don't know. I think I'll leave it. I don't care. If they start harassing me, I'll jump servers. It's whatever. I'll try to get on a Master Arms server. Yeah, find more of these, can you? No, that's okay. I'll take a 40 swing at that. Yeah, that's a good gamble. I'll take a swing at that. Come on, half price. Big money, big money, big money. Come on, big money, big money. Daddy wants some more dope. Give me some more dope for half price. Daddy needs some fucking dope for half price. Half price dope. Come on, half price dope. No. I didn't get it, did I? No, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. No, I did. I got it. Half price dope. Half price dope. Take that. Yeah, wow, yoy. Yeah, half price dope. Half price dope. Oh, yeah, half price dope. I could take him up on a bunch of them. I could do ba-boom, ba-boom, and ba-boom, which is kind of brave on the funds, as you can see. I just blew like a goddamn 100 mil or something, but Hey, I came up on a booster half price. You know, that's 40 mil. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see what I'm seeing, can I? I won a booster for half price. It was awesome. I hope that's not my base. Okay, I believe it's probably calmed down out there. Though I did want to bring some wood. Oh yeah, I brought some wood here so I can cook some metal. Yeah. Split it up, split it up. I want you to take that and any other fuel that I have. I want to learn the binoculars. I would have to do a recycling run. 6 gears is pretty good. I need to get to garage door like pretty much right away. I need to research flame arrow. Smooth as a criminal. It appears I'll have to recycle before I can do this, but that's okay. I'll save the gears. You know, now that I know the arrows, I'm just going to use them. I'm tempted to run the 1-2 combo, because who cares? I'm rich. I'm going to run the 1-2 combo. I don't really need that, but I do need that. Actually, that over that. I'll probably leave this here, honestly. Yep. We'll just run like a simple tool. Yep. And we'll run dual fire arrows, and if we run any prim kids, I'll dual file it, fire arrow, whoever it is, and then try to finish Aoka. I don't need this right now, so I'm gonna run helmet. Yep. And we'll go recycling and look for a combat at the gas station. You know, those can't hurt. I mean, I know I probably won't use that because it's not the zombie server. Yeah. Yeah, seems good. We'll keep that. Yeah, we'll keep that. And out we go. Looking around for that other prim kid, make sure he's not like just right on the road, you know. That power station is probably pretty lucrative for me. I might go out of the way just because it's not that far. I'm gonna run the Aoka because the crossbows. Yeah, and I'll run the pylon into gas station is what I'll do. Oh, I have the bad view, I'm sorry. Anyways. There, now I've got the better view, sorry about that. I'll get better about it. I wish OBS was confident. What's in there? look at stone wall. Nice, that's good. Thought I heard something. Recycle that. Ooh, slugs. It just keeps on going. Thousand claw. I want to buy a mini heli so I can just fly wherever I want to go. This almost seems worth more to me than T2 maybe. Or I could just blow into that steel one right there. I really don't want to be over in this neighborhood. All it is Balties. Dude, the best thing that could happen to me here is a sniper rifle. That's it. Free revolver. Very good, very good. Nice. I should camp the milk crate and just kill whoever comes. damn it. Go back.
drive active. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active.
Beautiful sunrise. Uh-oh. Oh, this became unplugged, did it? Okay, well... let's replug it. There we are. I'm sorry.
Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping.
%. Oh no. Well,
Warping to Stargate.
I do
Warp drive
believe
active.
that I can fix that. Yeah, that's enough. Should be enough.
Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping. Warping to station. Warp drive active.
Is it doing the firmware update? I don't know. Well,
Approaching station.
oh, I'm updating my keyboard, I guess. I can't get it to run.
Docking request accepted.
I don't know.
Autopilot disabled. Waypoint reached. Stargate. Warp drive active. Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active. Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active. Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active. Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active.
This jump is a little annoying. Annoying. There.
Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping. Moving to Stargate. Warp drive active. Approaching Stargate. Autopilot jumping. Warping to station. Warp drive active.
Free heli. All I need is a ladder. 2 ladders. What was that? Turrets or something. Oh, I need a lot more than that. Oh yeah, just to get in and get to the heli.
Approaching station. Docking permission requested. Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted. Autopilot disabled. Waypoint reached.
There are dead bodies everywhere. Oh, damn it. If he leaves that heli on his roof, I'll take it from him. He's like buzzing dome. I wonder if I could kill him as he comes in. I wonder if I could kill. He did shoot at me. I could shoot at him back as he came in. But he would just crash the heli. Just gonna give it about a 5 or 10 minutes. We're hunting people here, so... Gotta mark where the door is when I drop in. I have a feeling someone will come. We'll wait. Maybe not. Maybe they will. I don't know. Such an interesting base setup. I don't know. Almost nobody can see you here. This is actually a really good spot. There, I did see somebody. Let's go hunt them, maybe. Saw naked on the road. Lots of stuff in there, maybe. If he was on the road... He's probably long gone. I would see him down that road if he was like anywhere I could reach. It's weird because he didn't loot anything. Yeah, well, he was naked. It's fine. Go back to the milk crate. God, what? Oh my God, it was a pump shotgun. Dude. Okay. Nice. Aggro as hell. Nice, nice. Good fight. Nice distraction from the back. Kind of funny. Let's go see what's going on YouTube. Oh wait, no, it's 12 o'clock. I gotta go back to the vendor. Okay, copper, 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 copper. Go. Then we will... Okay. I will run a level 4, but not yet. I'm going to eat lunch now. Or, well, really, it's dinner, pretty much. Yep. Well, no, it's lunch. It's like lunchtime for me, I guess. So, yeah, just looking at what's going on here. Go see what's happening on the YouTube. Pro-natalist parent slaps 2-year-old. I spent two days planning the final shape. Here's what I thought. YouTube's degenerate furry therapist. Add to queue. Add to queue. Add to queue. Add to queue. Go.
Beautiful bastards. Welcome back to the Philip
Make
DeFranco
it
Show.
big.
Your daily dive into the news and
Pause. Thank you, Philip DeFranco, for the excellent content from my stream. Of like and sub to your channel. I'm gonna go up and where I can see things. Yes, I can see things. Yay. There's a naked on the beach. Let's go crossbow fight him and see if he has loot. There he is. Wait. Oh. God damn it. No, where'd you go? You're like hiding now, you fucker. Are you hiding in the bush? No, he's running. Where are you running to? That doesn't make any sense. You disappeared. Oh, there he is. How did you, like, disappear like that? Go get him. Name. Fun to hunt somebody on my with my base. It's fun to do it. Don't come down my beach. Soon enough, I'll be shooting them with 8Xs. Suppress so nobody even knows I'm doing it. Oops, so go. And I'll be running a level 4 here when I get back. But I am going to make a sandwich. I'm sorry, guys. I'll be right back. We're going to... What was that sound? We will watch the beach now. Okay, I'm gonna have some chips and guac with some beef jerky.
so much news to talk about today that I'm just going to hit you with that monkey and jump into it.
Oh, I need water before I can start. Damn it. All right.
We are about to see mass cultural extinction, economic breakdown, and the collapse of human
Are we
civilization.
really?
That is, unless y'all just start getting to baby making. We're talking baby making by the billions. Pump
please
them out.
don't
Right? All
say
of that's the essence of the
Please don't
movement
say
known
that.
as pronatalism. It's this idea that's especially become very popular in wealthy Silicon Valley and venture capital circles, with probably its most famous proponent being who else but Elon Musk, father to 11 children that we know. You know, they're terrified that declining birth rates in developed countries, namely the US, Europe, and East Asian ones like Japan and South Korea, that they're threatening to destabilize entire populations. Which I will say, at its base, is a legitimate concern. I mean, we've talked about the demographic problems in some of these places. There's been a big spotlight, especially on the Asian ones. But the pronatalist solution, just mass producing babies, it's a controversial one. Not least because it tends to be associated with a lot of right-wing politics, right? You see that, and then it gets looped in with restricting women's rights, opposing immigration, even promoting eugenics. Also, many pronatalists don't just advocate pro-family public policy, with many of them wanting to repopulate the earth with their own children. Like, for example, this mid-30s Pennsylvania couple by the names of Malcolm and Simone Collins. They currently have 3 kids. They plan for a minimum of 7, but
We're gonna have more than 7 if we can, basically, until my uterus is forcibly removed in a botched surgery. I'm gonna keep going.
also, they believe in something called nominative determinism. Basically, that the name that you're given at birth influences the subsequent course of your life, such as the
What?
career you choose. And so Malcolm and Simone, they bless their kids with, let's call them interesting ones. Right? You've got 4-year-old Octavian George, 2-year-old Torsten Savage, 16-month-old Titan Invictus, and their unborn 4th child, they plan to name Industry Americus. And according to their parents' calculations, given the law of exponential growth, as long as each of their descendants commit to having at least 8 children for just 11 generations, the Collins bloodline will eventually outnumber the current human race. But whether those kids, never mind their great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids, follow the pronatalist dream, that probably depends on how they're raised. Because with this kind of thinking, all it takes is one kid to be like, no, and you have hundreds of millions of potential offspring just gone. And unfortunately, the Collinses appear to be off to a rocky start, because a journalist for The Guardian actually sat down at a restaurant with them for an interview, and they witnessed something that they said left her speechless. Writing, Torsten has knocked the table with his foot and caused it to teeter, to almost topple before it rights itself. Immediately, like a reflex, Malcolm hits him in the face. It is not a heavy blow, but it is a slap with the palm of his hand direct to his 2-year-old son's face that's firm enough for me to hear on my voice recorder when I play it back later. And Malcolm has done it in the middle of a public place in front of a journalist who he knows is recording everything. And so naturally, not only did this shock her, but lots of people online who then accused the Collinses of child abuse. So there, we saw the parents quickly shoot back, saying what they did was not abuse, it was merely bopping.
What happens during a bop? It is a light slap on the child's nose or face that is meant to shock and redirect and refocus attention. The reason we do the face is because it requires much less pain to get the same reaction than doing something like slapping the wrist.
With them explaining that they picked up this technique after observing what they said were animal parenting models, which apparently they find more credible than the now well-established scientific research showing that corporal punishment can damage children for life.
I do not believe the research is relevant to the type of corporal punishment that we are enacting with our kids.
With them explaining that most research only looks at delayed ritualized punishment where pain is the purpose. With them claiming that the point of bopping is to shock or jar, not cause pain. And then we also see him to go on to accuse their critics of racism.
According to a 2011 study by Gorshaw, 89% of black parents practice corporal punishment, and 80% of Hispanic parents practice corporal punishment.
But you know, many have said they found a little ironic because pronatalism, it's famously been espoused by racist ideology going back decades, right from fascist regimes in Italy and Nazi Germany to the white supremacists today who fear that Jews are suppressing white birth rates to replace them with non-white immigrants. So notably, both Malcolm and Simone, they've distanced themselves from those kinds of ideas, saying they're actually in favor of cultural diversity and pluralism. But with that said, for the sake of time and also your sanity, especially because, I mean, we've really only scratched the surface of this movement, right? The Collinses and other pronatalists, they believe a whole host of wacky stuff that could fill an entire show. But for now, just keeping it with this specifically, I'd love to know your thoughts here. And then let's talk about a few pieces of quickie entertainment news. Starting with the news that YouTube is making more videos unwatchable as part of their ongoing war against ad blockers, which is a move that will very likely affect millions and millions of people. And that's because last month, YouTube announced how to be cracking down on third-party ad blockers, saying that they violate YouTube's terms of service, right? And that's seen as not only them trying to get more ad revenue, but pushing people to pay for the YouTube Premium ad-free subscription. But now, in the last day or so, we've seen a ton of people reporting that YouTube basically isn't working for them when they use ad blockers. Right? People complaining about videos skipping right to the end when they try to play them and then buffering forever when they try to click on the timeline.
I went through this
Others saying
yesterday.
the videos they tried to watch automatically muted. Though now, notably here, like all previous ad blocker crackdowns, users have found workarounds and loopholes. But then at the same time, we're seeing YouTube working quickly to close those gaps, countering changes that ad blockers make to get around the code. But then another YouTuber news, we got to talk about Mr. Beast officially opening up applications for the Beast games. Right, his upcoming competition on Prime Video said to have the biggest cash prize ever at $5 million. Which honestly, that is such a big prize. I'm like, should I apply? Chance at $5 million, skip the chaos of an election year? Also, very notably here, regarding participation, while Prime Video initially said around 1,000 people would be competing, in a post sharing the sign-up link, Mr. Beast said they were looking for 5,000 participants. Right, so that is way more than initially expected, but great news for people wanting to get their shot. And as far as if you're eligible, I'll link down so you can apply. But you need to be 18 or older, have a valid passport through April of 2025, and be available in late June and potentially through September, with there also being certain citizenship and visa requirements. But then, going more mainstream entertainment, we have Sabrina Carpenter in the news. Right, and that because she's getting some backlash for the outro of her song Nonsense, which she performed at BBC Radio 1's Big Weekend 2024 festival. Because often when she's performing the single live, she'll change the outro to be some kind of joke or a reference. And so here's what she did this time.
BBC said I should keep it PG. BBC, I wish I had it in me. There's a double meaning if you dig deep.
So that, seemingly in reference to when she performed the song last year on BBC Radio 1's Live Lounge, where she changed the outro to I'm American, I'm not British, so BBC, it stands for something different. And for those of you who have never been on the hub, or maybe you asked your mom and she lied to you and she said, I don't know, what she means there is big, black, and so shocker, the BBC didn't like her talking about BBC. And so they took down the video of her singing and they re-uploaded it without the joke. And so also with that on social media, we saw a lot of people criticizing Sabrina, with many calling it creepy or weird, writing things like, see how weird Sabrina Carpenter was for sexualizing BBC on national live TV, knowing for a fact that this is a family event and kids are watching. Others also arguing that she's fetishizing black men. Though that, as others push back, saying it was just a joke, it's not that deep. And then, so we need to talk about guardianship laws. With this getting more attention recently because of a documentary about the talk show host Wendy Williams, with many saying they're just the perfect environment for abuse. And of course, this likely isn't the first time you've thought about something like this. I mean, Britney Spears was in a well-known decade-long legal battle to get out from under the thumb of her guardian. But with everything that we've seen in recent years, things might actually be changing, as lawmakers and activists across the country have been making serious efforts to overhaul the laws and put more safeguards in place. But to properly talk about this, we got to back up a little bit and ask the question of, well, what is a guardianship exactly? And well, there, I mean, it really depends on where you live. Sometimes they have slightly different names. Like here in California, they're called conservatorships. But the idea is that basically the courts decide an adult cannot make decisions for themselves due to a mental or a physical condition. They put someone else in charge. But the most recent numbers showing that there are 1.3 million American adults that have been deemed unable to make decisions for themselves. Although according to the Center for Public Integrity, we have woefully inadequate data in the United States on this issue. There is no national source of guardianship data. And adding many states are not keeping data on who's under guardianship, how many people are under guardianship, or why they're under guardianship. While exact numbers are hard to come by, judges that spoke to ProPublica claimed that most guardianships are because of dementia and Alzheimer's, such as in the case of Wendy Williams. And her situation is also a great example of why so many families are frustrated with the system and why many feel an overhaul is needed. Right back in late 2021, her bank petitioned the court to get her a guardian, claiming that her family was abusing her financially, which was granted in 2022. And at the time, she was living with her family in Miami, and the bank thought that her son, Kevin Hunter Jr., was using her money, which lines up with one of the most common ways older people are abused, for their financial assets. In fact, according to MetLife's study of elder financial abuse, an estimated $2.9 billion is lost every year because of this.
Oh my
Sadly,
God.
though, that is also not the only way. In some instances, physical or sexual abuse happens. And there's a real frustration that the only person generally holding guardians accountable is a judge. When there are other agencies helping out, they're often severely understaffed and unable to adequately audit wards. But regardless, Hunter Jr. denies any and all accusations and claims, my mom made me power of attorney because at that time, the bank started accusing the family of doing things that weren't true and saying that my mom wasn't fit to make choices. The court tried to frame it as though I was making all these charges for my own happiness. But even though her family has the means to take care of her, the courts decided otherwise and made attorney Sabrina Morrissey her guardian. And in this case, attorneys like Bernard A. Crooks, who specializes in elder law and special needs development, he suggested to The Hollywood Reporter that Morrissey was put in charge to avoid family infighting, saying, I've been doing this for almost 40 years, and I would say that what I'm seeing in my practice is more fighting among siblings and family members, which has led to courts giving guardianship more to independent entities or entities that they believe are independent, like banks or other financial institutions. Now, as frustrating as all this is for Williams and her family, she's actually relatively lucky. Because in New York, most people who are in need of a guardian, they don't have one, either because they don't have family or friends at all, or because they're unwilling to take on that role. And in those instances, private attorneys are the go-to, but they also often refuse to do the job unless the client has substantial assets, meaning that thousands of more common people in New York are just left out to dry, which is why we saw the nonprofit Guardianship Access New York asking legislators for just $5 million out of the nearly $250 billion budget to give these so-called unbefriended individuals better guardianship services. But that ended up getting denied, and just $1 million was allocated, which is hardly enough to manage the assets and take care of these people. Also, another major issue facing the state is how little oversight there is because of underfunding. Right? Technically, the guardians of the roughly 17,000 people they are being watched over need to file reports detailing the finances and care of their wards. But in New York, they only have 157 people to audit those reports. And making matters worse is that these audits can take years to complete, which is more than enough time for some shady person to screw someone over. But there is some good news, though not for New York, because they're not really doing much to change the situation. But other states are trying to make the system better. Over in Illinois, for example, Democratic Representative Tara Costa Howard has drafted legislation to try and tone down how much private firms are able to abuse the system, with her actually being inspired to do this after taking on the role herself and finding out that a private guardianship company and a law firm were working with hospitals to funnel would-be wards to their services. With her going on to say what this little piece of legislation has uncovered is a huge problem. Elder is a big, big mess. In our chamber, in our legislature, this is an issue people are willing to fight for. People weren't paying attention to this until I raised it. I brought it up, and now we're going to go. Now with that, it is not a law yet, but it is a start. And hopefully it can get to the level that states like Pennsylvania and California are at, which, I mean, those are also imperfect. Or Pennsylvania, for example, just passed a major bill that makes it much, much harder for private firms to heavily profit off of taking care of those who have no one else. And it makes sense because there's this weird power dynamic going on if you're someone who needs a guardian but has no one but a private firm to go to. Or even worse, if you're incapable of realizing you need a guardian. It's just an entire ecosystem that's ready to be abused. And with this, California also updated its conservatorship laws back in late 2023 for the first time in 50 years with unanimous approval. And in that case, it actually expanded who could qualify as someone who needs a guardian to include those with substance abuse issues. Because in the past, the law tried hard to protect those with mental health issues or substance abuse issues from being forced into treatment, and this changes that. It'll also require updates on whether that person continues to need a guardian, which is something it also does for adults with developmental issues, which is something that advocates would be happy with, because one of the biggest complaints is that many states, California included, often impose plenary guardianships, or with that meaning they're usually in perpetuity, like with what happened to Britney Spears. And in those cases, there's relatively little oversight once it's established, making it extremely difficult for someone to get out of one. Although at the same time, cases like Britney's are fringe ones because, like we mentioned before, most guardianships are established because of things like dementia, which, that's not a situation that's going to get better for the victim. And after hearing all this, you might think, man, the whole thing, it sounds awful, but it's also really not the case. These are things that are super important and when done properly, generally help protect people. But because of how much power they give to a guardian, it's an open invitation for abuse, which is why, according to many advocates, the single biggest thing that can be done to help perform guardianships, data, more and more data. Right? I touched on this at the start, but we have almost no single data point for all of this information. Everything is different state to state, and many collect almost no data, which is why there's a real push to get a national database set up, and the U.S. Government Accountability Office has even pushed Congress on the issue. But the most recent bill that was introduced in 2023 has stalled out. And in the meantime, without the data, it's going to be an uphill battle to make any meaningful changes in many states. And it's not like this is an issue that just goes away. It is expected that the need for guardians is only going to expand, especially as we're now all getting older, and with that come diseases and dementia. With all that said, I got to ask you your opinions in general, but especially I'd love to know your thoughts if you or someone you know has been in a situation like this. And then I'll get back to more news in just a second, but we got to pay some bills and thank the fantastic sponsor for today's show, Vessi. Because if you haven't pulled the trigger yet and getting a pair of Vessis or adding adding to the collection that you have, listen up, because our friends at Vessi are having their end of the season sale going on right now until June 2nd. Yeah, which means that you can get up to 35% off site-wide right now. So now is the time to pick up your own Stormburst, low tops or high tops, the Weekender, the Astoria Sleek backpack, slingbacks, jackets, you name it, you got it. All at Vessi.com/DeFranco. Check it out. Especially because Vessi sneakers just make life easier. No matter the weather, these shoes provide me freedom to do just about anything all day, no matter the elements, and they easily transition from day to night. Right? Reliable is the word that comes to mind when I think of Vessi. And they're ideal for any occasion that might find you around water. Coastal walks, exploring outside the city, forest, camping, snowy days, boating, heading out early on a damp morning, washing your car. The list goes on. So what are you waiting for? Just go to Vessi.com/DeFranco to get 35% off site-wide. And if you're watching this after June 2nd, don't worry, because you can still go to Vessi.com/DeFranco to get 15% off. And then, this is some real-life girl with a dragon tattoo shit. So the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, is being accused of orchestrating a massive influence campaign to manipulate Western public opinion by spreading false information that's ruined the lives of innocent people. And all so the regime can consolidate power and ensure the continuation of authoritarian control in the region. All that's what's been uncovered and alleged in numerous media reports, leaks, and now lawsuits. And one of those lawsuits directly links an American school to George Washington University and the director of its esteemed program on extremism as perpetrators. But also, I'm getting ahead of myself. The details are juicy. But before we get to the good stuff, we need to start at the very beginning. So all of this starts with a just stunning bombshell report published by the New Yorker in March of last year. And I mean, we could just do an entire show on the details of that 10,000-word article. But the bullet points version is that this investigation focused on a man by the name of Hazim Nada. He's an American citizen who lived in Italy and founded a Swiss-based oil trading business called Lord Energy. But Nada was forced to file for bankruptcy after a smear campaign linked him and his company to the Muslim Brotherhood, or the Islamic organization that gained power in Egypt as an opposition group following the Arab Spring in 2011, and also has since been labeled a terrorist group by several authoritarian governments, with most of those regimes being concentrated in the Middle East, including the UAE. Right, and the allegations against Nada appear to stem from the fact that his father, who emigrated to the US from Egypt, had been part of the Brotherhood. But Nada himself, there was no connection. He was a secular, proud American who had only visited Egypt once and didn't want to return. And in fact, when he started his company, he had to prove to every banker that he met that the business had no connection to his father. But between 2017 and 2018, news articles started coming out claiming that he and the company had ties to terrorism and the Brotherhood. And soon, Wikipedia articles started to reflect those allegations, and before long, he was blacklisted on key banking databases and had major banks pulling out of his business. But then, after months of emotional distress and panic attacks, Nada ultimately lost his company, his reputation, and eventually his marriage. And for years, the people and reasoning behind the smear campaign that ruined his life largely remained a mystery. But then, in 2021, a group of anonymous hackers started to send him leaked internal communications from a Geneva-based private intelligence firm called Alp Services. Right, and that was run by a man by the name of Mario Guerrero, who had a history of run-ins with the law, including a 2012 incident in France where he was convicted of illegally obtaining and disseminating information in an investigation. And over time, the hackers shared terabytes of stolen files from Alp, including emails, reports, memos, photographs, invoices, and even recorded phone calls, with all of it revealing that Guerrero had done intelligence work for a wide range of shady characters and foreign authoritarian regimes. And wouldn't you know it, that roster included the UAE, with the hackers eventually showing Nada files that proved the smear campaign had been orchestrated by the company's leader, MBZ. Not to be confused with the Saudi leader, MBS, Mohammed Bonesaw. But this guy, not much better when it comes to mass human rights abuses and authoritarianism. And specifically, the hacked materials indicated that the UAE had hired Alp in its long-running feud with Qatar, which reached a boiling point in 2017 when the UAE and other Gulf nations launched a blockade against the country, cutting off diplomatic and trade ties. And a big part of the reason for the blockade was that the UAE and its allies alleged that Qatar was supporting terrorism, with them explicitly pointing to its support of and ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, among others. As far as why MBZ and other Gulf leaders had such a vendetta against the Brotherhood, that could also fill a whole other show. But basically, it boils down to this. The Brotherhood helped overthrow autocrats during the Arab Spring and emerged as a notable political force. So MBZ views them and other religious opposition groups as a threat not only to his own authoritarian control, but really the control of other autocratic regimes in the Gulf as well. And as part of the blockade, the Gulf nations launched a massive influence campaign to convince the US and other Western powers of Qatar's connections to terrorism, with that, in turn, kicking off an unprecedented lobbying frenzy, with the oil-rich nation spending obscene amounts of money on lawyers and PR firms in a battle to control the narrative in the West. And the hacked Alp files show that in August of 2017, Guerrero went to the UAE to get in on that insanely lucrative action, with him preparing 14 pages of talking points to try and get the Emiratis to hire him in their fight against Qatar and the Brotherhood, writing, "We would aim to discredit our targets by discreetly and massively diffusing the embarrassing and compromising information. In the eyes of the media, public, officials, they would appear as perverts, corrupts, or extremists." And even explicitly saying the power of dark PR should not be underestimated. Many experts argue that Hillary Clinton lost the presidential elections due to fake news relayed on social media and non-traditional media, and promising that we would use similar...
No, I mean, she was right there in front of the fucking CFR logo at the CFR conference. I mean, this is her at the CFR. I mean,
moment when our global leadership is essential, even if we must.
you understand this is 2 buttons away. I mean, it's 3 words away on YouTube. I mean, this reality is a reality. When she was younger, she was CFR. I don't trust her. I don't trust the CFR.
In new ways. A moment when those things that make us who we are as a nation, our openness and innovation, our determination and devotion to core values, have never been more needed. This is a moment that must be seized through hard work and bold decisions.
I hate this speech.
And just to make sure you did not miss that, that is him literally offering to spread lies about the opponents of a full-blown authoritarian regime. So of
That is
course,
not a
UAE
lie,
is
the
like,
proof's
fuck
right
yes,
there.
sounds great. And they agreed to an initial 4 to 6 month budget of 1.5 million euros. Now, very notably here, Brero initially just proposed targeting people who were known Brotherhood sympathizers, but that later extended to others like Nada, who had incredibly tenuous ties to the group. So Alt just went to work trying to establish those connections, and the files show that this included drafting damning Wikipedia entries and paying journalists to publish hit pieces alleging his involvement with the group. Sometimes those stories were published under fake names, and at one point they even created a fake journalist who they billed as an expert. And as a part of this effort, Brero brought on Lorenzo Vidino, the director of GW's program on extremism. Right, he had long argued against Islamic organizations, and Georgetown University's Bridge Initiative on Islamophobia had described him as an academic who, quote, promotes conspiracy theories about the Muslim Brotherhood and is connected to numerous anti-Muslim think tanks. And according to partial records, Brero paid Vidino more than 13,000 euros for his work that included a series of gossipy reports and a list of other suspected Islamists to go after. So then, after Lord Energy filed for bankruptcy, which Brero bragged about and took credit for in an update to the Emiratis, the government then agreed to pay him to go after other targets on that list. And that is where the shit really takes off, with internal ALP accounting showing that the UAE gave him at least 5.7 million euros between 2017 and 2020. And while the leaked files given to Nada did outline some of Brero's work, a few months after the New Yorker article, a group of European media outlets published an investigative series detailing how far-reaching this campaign was. Which at this point, I have to ask, are you ready? Because the shit is insane. According to the outlets, Alt gave the UAE the names of over 1,000 people in 400 organizations in 18 European countries, all labeled as part of the Muslim Brotherhood network in Europe. Now, obviously, Alt didn't do smear campaigns on everyone, but for those who were targets, their lives were turned completely upside down. And one of those people was Farid Havez, an Austrian scholar who specializes in Islam.
I do want to see this, but it's 3 hours long.
Islamophobia, where he was very well regarded in Austria, frequently being published in newspapers, doing engagements. And around 2015, he began to find himself the target of a whisper campaign spreading rumors alleging that he had some kind of vague connection to the Brotherhood. And so slowly, he stopped getting published in newspapers and his reputation began to fall. But then all of this culminating in Hafez, along with dozens of others, being raided by armed police in a 2020 operation called Operation Luxor. And a huge key thing here, Austrian authorities specifically cited a report written by Vedino on the Brotherhood to obtain the search warrant used for the raid, with Vedino also serving as a witness against some of the targets. And very notably here, the operation failed to produce any evidence of terrorism, and literally no one was arrested or convicted. In fact, Austrian courts even ruled that the whole thing was illegal. But like with Nada, this whole ordeal upended Hafez's life. His reputation was ruined. His financial assets were frozen. He and his young children, they suffered stress and trauma from the armed raid. And that is also part of the reason why we've spent so much time talking about these two men, because now they've both filed lawsuits. Right, with Nada's suit, which was filed earlier this year, it names the UAE, MBZ, the state-run oil company, and ALP, and asks for nearly $2.8 billion in damages. With the suit outlining a lot of what was already revealed in the leaked documents, accusing the defendants of spreading false narratives about Nada's ties to the Brotherhood that destroyed his life, also claiming that journalists and Vedino were paid to smear him and dozens of others, and asserting that MBZ himself played a key role, providing ultimate approval authority over the enterprise's disinformation operations. Beyond that, Nada also argues that this campaign wasn't just ideological, saying the UAE viewed his business as competition and wanted to kick him out of the market. Right, and with that, noting that Lord Energy cost the state oil company around $830 million in revenue in the years before, which is notably why he is suing them for antitrust. As well as for fraud and racketeering. And as far as Hafez's suit, which was filed in late March, it shares some similarities, but it is a bit different. Right, while he also makes many of the same allegations and accuses the defendants of racketeering and fraud, Hafez is asking for a much smaller $10 million in damages, and his suit mostly focuses on Vedino, GW, and ALP. And that's actually super significant because foreign governments have often been accused of giving big donations to universities to buy influence, but this suit also goes way further. Right? It alleges that a top school and one of its staff were involved in a shadowy disinformation campaign to damage reputations on behalf of an authoritarian foreign regime, with the lawsuit specifically stating GWU and Vedino engaged in a well-cloaked conspiracy to defraud authorities, academia, and the press, all while holding themselves out as independent and objective academic actors. And to that point, you have experts saying that this lawsuit is also very important because it shines a light on the possible influence that foreign money can have on American universities. With Benjamin Freeman, for example, the director of the Democratizing Foreign Policy program at the Quincy Institute, explaining U.S. universities receiving millions and even hundreds of millions of dollars from authoritarian regimes are going to be a lot less likely to offer critical commentary about regimes. Right? And this is also significant as this is coming as we've been seeing a lot of discussion about universities divesting from foreign money in conversations about the Israel-Gaza war. Though, of course, with that, I am not saying that is a direct one-to-one, but these two things definitely run parallel to one another. And like with many things, when you see something being done, when you see something being said, there is a conversation of, is there money behind it and where does it come from? But with now all of that said and broken down, I gotta pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts here? I'd absolutely love to hear from you in those comments down below. And then, have you ever been notified about another big company being affected by a data breach and somehow your personal information is among the leaked data? And that's even if you never did business with that company? Well, sadly, with as little as a phone number, old address, or name to start them off, complete strangers can buy records containing an alarming amount of your sensitive information. When I signed up for Incogni, which, by the way, thank you for being a fantastic sponsor of the show, I immediately saw how many data brokers had my information. I was appalled. I felt a bit violated. But then I also saw that within a week, they had already started their reach out and they were having them scrubbed out. I mean, since signing up for Incogni, my data has been removed from 186 companies. Right? They can automatically remove your personal data from where you don't need or want it. And another example of where Incogni comes in handy is if you're privacy conscious or just don't like the idea of a random finding out where you live or you're working, this is the service you need to keep your information private. So do what you can to take control back. Just go to incogni.com/DeFranco and don't forget to use code DeFranco to get 60% off. That's incogni.com/DeFranco and use code DeFranco to take your personal data off the market. And then, what's only? Those are the two words at the center of the scandal and now settlement for the Virginia-based IT company Arthur Grand Technologies. Right in that company's name, it may sound familiar because it was actually last year where they gained national attention. Because they shared a little job posting recruiting for a contract business analyst position on Indeed. With that then going viral because of a bolded note that read, only born U.S. citizens, who are local within 60 miles from Dallas, and then in brackets, don't share with candidates. Which my surface level reaction to that part of the news was, oh my God, I love this. Not the racism,
Look at all
not that
that
part, but rather that seemingly racism was exposed by laziness, because of fucking course it would be. Generally speaking, being a racist is so fucking lazy. Because I think so much racism can actually be overcome by looking into information and details and history. But that seemingly wasn't the case here, because the company responded in a series of statements saying the post wasn't authorized by Arthur Grant, claiming that an employee took an existing posting and added discriminatory language and then reposted it through his own account, and adding that they had worked to remove it immediately and that the poster had been fired. But then going on to deny the company discriminated against applicants and then emphasizing that it's actually minority owned and prides itself on diversity. But this whole mess got so big, it got the attention of the Departments of Justice and Labor, and they launched investigations. And despite an employee seemingly going rogue, those agencies still found that the post violated the Immigration and Nationality Act and an executive order barring federal contractors from discriminating based on race, nationality, and unprotected characteristics. And under the settlements with Arthur Grant, the company has to pay a civil penalty of $7,500 and $31,000 in compensation to 31 people who filed federal complaints about the posting. Also, in order to get the $1,000 each, the complainants have to sign documents agreeing not to sue the company. With Arthur Grant also agreeing to provide workplace training on federal discrimination laws, changes in employment policies, and be subject to DOJ monitoring to ensure compliance with anti-discrimination laws. And all of this, even though the DOJ acknowledged in its settlement that the firm denied authorizing the post and claimed that the advertisement was generated by a disgruntled recruiter in India and was intended to embarrass the company, which was also echoed by the CEO, Arthur Grant, that he claimed that it was posted by an upset employee on a performance improvement plan. So you have Arthur Grant kind of stuck in this damned if you do, damned if you don't limbo. Right? Even if it was just a rogue employee like they say, they're still liable for the people they hire. So they basically had to decide between risking lawsuits and fighting their way through court, or just settling for a small fee and agreeing to be more careful about who they hire in the future. And then, when I was 14, 15, 16 years old, I would dream about getting my license, getting my own car, and just getting away from my shitty, unsafe home. And I mean, even before I could legally work, I was working and saving money, and one day I bought, ooh baby, a 1990-something periwinkle blue Geo Prism. It's possibly the lamest vehicle that's ever been created, but it's
I loved my black Mazda Protege.
took me places. But that experience, that is becoming less and less common.
Yeah, they gotta fuck the kids like harder, faster.
Because what we're now seeing in reports is that between 1983 and 2022, the share of 16-year-olds with driver's licenses plummeted from nearly 1/2 to about 1/4. Also, the share of 18-year-olds dropping from 80% to 60%. But then finally here, members of Gen Z, who are now 24 or younger, they make up a historically low 12.4% of licensed drivers in the US, which shows us that what was once a rite of passage for teens, it's kind of now an afterthought. Which, is a big change. Car culture has long been a cornerstone of Americanism. But this trend also reveals a lot about how different young people's lives are compared to their parents. Right? Most obviously, people are driving less because they have access to ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft, as well as even for, food. You have DoorDash, Uber Eats, Seamless. More and more jobs have also gone remote, so you have Zoom meetings and the option of texting or FaceTiming rather than speaking in person. But also, of course, there's the financial stress of a car, as this girl in New York explained today.
Wait, what? Did you...
I'd love to know your porn. A large part of it is based off of my thinking of the regions. Like in LA, I cannot imagine not having a car. But in like New York City, I couldn't imagine having a car. Which is also why I gotta ask if you have one, you don't have one, wherever you live. I'd love to know your thoughts on this situation. And then, does your internet service provider suck? Would you like them to stop sucking? Well, I ask that because in the news, we're seeing states like Minnesota trying to take some action. With Minnesota now becoming the latest state to pass a law that would make it easier for municipalities to set up local networks. Right, and part of the change includes removing a nearly century-old rule that requires cities and counties to get 65% of voters to agree to build a new telecommunications network. Which, these days feels nearly impossible to get 65% of anyone to agree about anything. Also notably, it drops legal barriers that only let local networks be built if there was no such service provided, such as in remote parts of the state. These rules were originally meant to protect telephone companies, but when the internet came around, providers were quick to say that it was also covered under the law. And unfortunately, since then, it's turned into a situation where many people only have access to one internet provider. Or if they're really lucky, they might have two actual companies offering service alongside a few tiny satellite ones. A really big issue with these laws is that they incentivize ISPs to unofficially avoid each other's territories, giving them de facto monopolies. With these new rules, they change that by allowing government-run ISPs to enter the picture, though at the same time trying to make sure that those government ISPs, they don't have an advantage. And looking into this, locally run ISPs are actually very rare across the US. Only 650 exist. And notably, 16 states still heavily restrict those kinds of networks, although it wasn't that long ago that most states had restrictions. Which is why a lot of experts really believe that it's just a matter of time before nearly every state allows locally run ISPs with minimal restrictions. And so it's hoped that with all this, it's going to speed up high-speed broadband internet access to Americans, which, is a project the federal government has spent billions on with mixed results. And then, finally today, that brings us to commentary. We dive into the comments on the last show and talk it out. Starting with the most popular comment, which was about, are movie theaters dead? With, everything that we've seen, especially in this past weekend with Garfield and Furiosa. With Amari and E saying, let's correct the narrative here. People wanting to go to movie theaters isn't dead. People not being able to afford nearly $20 for a ticket plus concessions, especially for a large family, is what's dead. People aren't refusing to go to theaters because of the actors or advertising. They're refusing because they can't.
I would love to go to the theaters. It's because everything costs way too much money now. We don't go do anything because you've killed the world. I feel like all the time you guys have killed the world with your greed, Alright, now that I've got a lot of guns, I shall go use them. I suppose the next thing I should do is make bullets. Oh no, I guess I used all of my GP. Yeah, I believe that I did. Yeah, not too much in terms of that, but that's okay. And someone right here was a lot of bullets, right? Now will I in wait and I will gank somebody. Yeah, I guess I do want you to cook that. Just a little bit that we have, enough to make shelves.
Go is because there's an AMC near me with $8.50 tickets. Others replying to that saying movies are too expensive, restaurants are too expensive, fast food's too expensive, rent's too expensive, groceries are too expensive. Quaid adding, I've lost trust in how movies are made too, saying I'm not risking $25 for a movie that has a 15% chance of actually being decent. And with that, well, I'll say I understand most of the reservations or the complaints about the movie theater experience. I do want to say that when people start talking about a $20 or $25 ticket, that is not the standard. Like, you don't have to watch the movie in 40X or IMAX. Also, like, depending on when you go to a movie, that affects the price. Or, like, I live in LA. When anyone's talking about, like, how expensive shit is in America, they're usually using LA prices. If, say, today I wanted to go watch Babes or Hitman at the theater, I can get that ticket for $7, whether it's a matinee or late night. But then, let's say I want to see Furiosa on Thursday at 7 p.m. For an adult,
I want to see Furiosa. I didn't know Furiosa was coming. Let's see. I want to see Furiosa in the film. What is PXRPX? Oh, it's RPX, yeah. Ooh. I'm gonna make a phone call.
Whatever you have to do. However long it takes. Promise me you'll find your way home.
Ooh, Furiosa.
Furiosa. Give me this promise.
Furiosa. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Hells yeah.
I'm Furiosa!
The darkest of angels. The question is, do you have it in you to make it epic?
That's a while. We won't be in the phone that long, huh? Gonna make a phone call real quick, guys. Sorry. So sorry, I think I'll go see Furiosa, and it makes me emotional to think that they're still making movies that I want to go see, because it's been like 30,000 bad movies or something over the last 10 years, but I do want to see this one. It's good. So I will go see it. Very seldom do they make something I think is good enough that I want to go see it, but hells yeah. Okay, so go back to what we were doing here.
Up to like 1875, and so the numbers do get there, but it also depends on like how often you go to the theaters. I'm gonna say I am not in any way sponsored by this, but like I said in previous videos, I love going to the theater. I got a Regal Unlimited membership recently. As long as I go to like 2 movies a month, it pays for itself. I pay for their highest tier, which is $23.99 a month. That $16 ticket on Thursday for everyone else, that's $0 for me. Though where I will say people get fucked is the concession stand. I mean, the whole movie theater experience is built so you buy candy and popcorn. But again, I hear you, though. I will be going to a movie theater until they just cease to exist. And separately, with more serious news, there was a lot of conversation about David McBride. A lot of it was focused on 2 things. 1, people just disgusted by the government and the situation, and 2, people thanking us for covering it. But with that, you also have people like Matthew Evans saying, so to summarize, this Australian judge's decision that not only is the Nuremberg defense a valid argument, it is the opinion of the Australian government that if you are given the order to commit a war crime, you must become a war criminal or become an Australian criminal. And Sappho Sheep saying, as a U.S. Army Special Operations veteran, the Australian whistleblower story hit close to home. Without going into too much detail, the U.S. Army is just as guilty. When I was in Afghanistan, it really did feel like a black hole where terrible things happen and never get brought to light. Every coalition member country had the blood of thousands on their hands. I wish I had 1/10 the bravery of McBride. But that is where your Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning show is going to end. For more news you need to know, if you missed the Memorial Day show, you can click or tap right here to watch that right now. But also, if you're all caught up, do not worry, because remember, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.
Thank you, Philip DeFranco, for this.
It's coming up, so give your dad the wallet upgrade he needs.
Thank you, Skill Up. I've liked and sub to your channel. Thank you for the extra content for my stream. I love my little funky door thing here. I like that. So, yeah, that tool's busted. I guess I'll need to make like a... I don't know. Thank you, Skill Up, for the excellent content from my stream. I've liked and sub to your channel.
He needed. Ridge's Father's Day sale means you can save up to 40% on selected Ridge wallets, key cases, and other items. The discounts won't last, so click the link below to check it out right now or stick around to the end of the video to learn more. Alrighty, I can finally talk about where I was 2 weeks ago. I was in Seattle, Washington. Sadly, I missed the Aurora Borealis, but I did see something more fun, at least to me. The next and possibly final expansion for Destiny 2 the one titled The Final Shape. Some housekeeping first. I was invited by Bungie, who offered to cover my flights and accommodation, but I declined. I paid my own way instead. That's nothing personal. That's a policy I've put in place for some years now, since I think it results in better coverage when it's my own money on the line rather than the publishers. It was an unusual visit, to be honest. Usually you go to these things at whatever studio and it's a whole bunch of presentations followed by a few hours of gameplay and then a lunch, followed by some more presentations and a little more gameplay, and then you're kind of done. Bungie had us in studio for 2 full days, 12 hours a day, and there we got to experience a huge portion of what would be available when the expansion launches in early June. I phrase it that way deliberately because we only experienced the launch content of the expansion. We didn't experience the raid or any of the post-campaign quest chains or secret exotic missions, if they even exist, or any of the other surprises that no doubt await us post-launch. So what did we experience? Well, we saw like half of the campaign missions, plenty of story stuff in there as well, which I won't spoil, don't worry. We got to explore the innards of the Traveler, the new open world space called the Pale Heart, and we got to sample many of the activities that are available there, and believe me, there are a lot. We did some PvP. I smoked Aztec Cross. He smoked me back like 10 times, but we won't dwell on that. We got to test out over a dozen new exotic weapons and armor pieces. Finally, and most importantly, we got to muck around with Prismatic, the new subclass that's an absolute game changer when it comes to the build crafting potential of Destiny 2. Almost every bit of footage you're seeing here is mine, captured at 1080p. Bungie did review this video prior to it going live, but only to ensure that no narrative or loot spoilers accidentally found their way in. They did not have any editorial input or veto right over anything said in this video. This is not sponsored, except by Ridge Wallet. I promise you, they do not care what I have to say about the Final Shape. So with all that housekeeping out of the way, what did I think of the Final Shape, or more specifically, the parts I played of it? And look, I'll be really honest, I'm not being coy when I say that a hands-on preview with an expansion, even a preview that runs for a full 24 hours, is not enough time to come to any definitive, declarative positions on the quality of that expansion. I saw some things that I really loved, like Prismatic, which is absolutely balls to the wall insane. Even with the shitty, unoptimized build I was running, the genius of Prismatic is that it makes you feel like you're breaking the game, even though you aren't, as the trade-offs inherent in the limited pool of abilities and fragments means that it's a different and more flexible way to play, rather than being a straight-up better way to play. I really love some of the new exotics I experienced, like the reimagined Kavostok, the Golden Gun sniper rifle, and a Titan chest that fires rockets whenever I put up a barrier. That was absolutely sick. I really liked the Pale Heart. I think it's a genuinely new patrol space that we've never experienced before, in no small part because it's a solo instance, meaning that Bungie have been able to more carefully curate and balance content around individuals or fire teams, rather than just 6 or more people who happen to be walking by. And so all of that stuff was great, but then there's stuff like the story, which I wasn't really clicking with, to be honest, but it's impossible to judge a story when you are only seeing small fragments of it, so please do not read too much into that. Similarly, I wasn't blown away by the campaign mission design, since it felt less memorable than that of the Witch Queen, or even some of the high points of Lightfall, but it is possible that part of the reason I felt that way was because the difficulty tuning felt quite off, and playing alongside Datto, we were absolutely dumpstering the legendary difficulty in a way that just wouldn't have been possible in the Witch Queen's campaign at release. But even then, who's to say that the remaining 4 or 5 missions that I haven't played aren't absolute bangers, and that the difficulty doesn't spike to absurd levels to become like a GM Nightfall? I don't know. Previews are just that, previews, and so I embrace with cautious optimism the things that I loved, hoping that they stay good, and I maintain an open mind about the things I was more skeptical of, hoping that they improve when I get to experience them more fully. What is clear though, is that this is still Destiny 2. I know that goes without saying, and it's gonna sound like a really dumb thing to say, but like every major expansion, a bunch of people poke their heads in the window and ask, oh hey man, anything majorly different? Any reason for me to start playing Destiny 2 at this point? If those reasons exist, I couldn't see them in this preview slice, and in fact it's kind of the opposite in a weird way. Narratively and even mechanically, the Final Shape is a culmination of a 10-year journey, and so much of what it seems to be offering is dependent upon already having a connection to what has come before. While that may deliver the familiarity, nostalgia, and closure that veterans are hoping for, it may also alienate those who have not been along for any part of that 10-year ride. And with the future of Destiny 2 so uncertain, there's just a bit of a weird vibe around the Final Shape, one that makes it very tricky to predict what's in store for the future of this franchise or the studio making it. Okay, Okay, so I'm going to show you the first mission of the campaign here. If you don't want to see it, you can just listen to this as you would a podcast, since I won't be discussing any story stuff. So one of the biggest things about the final shape is that it's our chance to finally enter the Traveler, the big billiard ball that's been hanging over our planet since it randomly showed up uninvited all those years ago. As we stared up at it, we have long wondered, what's inside? Is it machinery? Is it organic matter? Is it soft, chewy marshmallow? And if so, can we eat it? We find the answer to this question in Mission 1. There's a brief playable section that shows how exactly we enter the Traveler, and when we're in, this is what we see. This is the Pale Heart, and it's a place constructed by the Traveler's consciousness, but shaped by our memories. That's why the location we arrive at here is the outskirts of the Destiny 1 tower, and this mission is centered on retaking the tower so it can be our base of operations for the rest of the campaign. Before that, though, there's a bit of soaking up the scenery. The verdant green fields, the entry portal far off in the distance, the disconcertingly large ghost stuck in this tree. It's kind of discombobulating to take in, but that's very much the intention, as the rest of the Pale Heart gets way weirder than this. Pretty soon after that, we meet the first of the new enemy types joining Destiny 2, the faction known as the Dread. This is the first truly new faction that have joined the game since Destiny 1 released, no joke. Since the Taken and Scorn were both new visually and mechanically, but they were more spin-offs. The Dread, though, are truly new, and you can immediately feel their newness. The flying types are called Grims, and they have full vertical freedom, meaning they can reposition above your cover point very easily, putting a lot of pressure on you when situations call for it. They also have this banshee scream that will temporarily suppress you, which further adds to how oppressive they can be on the battlefield. In this section, we only needed to kill like 2 wizards to collect some stuff so we can open a door, but we did 3 other main missions after this, which I don't have footage for, and in each of those missions, there were actual mechanics that were very similar to raid or dungeon style mechanics. So in one, we had to kill knights with our weapon fire to generate dark motes and then dunk them in a certain spot, but we also had a relic that we could use to kill knights for light motes, which we then had to dunk somewhere else. Another encounter would see certain enemies drop symbols, and we then need to collect those symbols and run them to the corresponding symbol on the other side of the map. There were other mechanics as well, but the point is, this campaign isn't just demanding damage throughput, it's also trying to make you think, and while that is awesome and I love it, it may also be a little frustrating if your party member is off comms and kind of just running around mindlessly killing shit. Didn't happen to me and Dado, but I'm told it did happen to at least one party containing one famous YouTuber. Not naming any names, jokes, it was Aztec Cross. Anyway, soon after this we're introduced to Prismatic. Sort of. At first, Prismatic is used to pop shields, since there's this new mechanic that will turn enemy health bars pink, making them immune to all damage unless you are transcendent. This happens when you're full up on prismatic energy, you press B, you do this little self fist pump thing, and at that point, all damage you deal will immediately pop the prismatic shield, so you can then damage them as per normal. That mechanic did pop up multiple times during the campaign missions that I played. We press on, and that's when we meet the next Dread enemy type, the Weaver, and let me tell you, these guys are properly fun to fight against. They use Strand not only to bind you in place, but also to yeet you across the map. They are very dangerous, but also really fun, since they add a layer of unpredictability to combat that really spices things up, like this clip for example. After this, we push our way into the tower proper, only to find the control room where the Vanguard used to hang out, only now it's a little roomier, a little sunnier, and awaiting us at the center is the power of Prismatic. Clicking on that thing unlocks the subclass for you, and very importantly, it unlocks a lot of it. One of the biggest problems of the Lightfall campaign was that it was basically a tutorial for Strand, with new abilities, aspects, and fragments added over the course of the campaign, and even after it. Good idea in theory, but in practice, Strand kinda sucked until you had the full kit at your disposal. So anyone who didn't invest the time to fully unlock Strand had a pretty shitty experience and probably didn't have many nice things to say about Lightfall. It was clearly something top of mind for lead combat designer Ben Womack. I interviewed both he and Kat Macedo when I was at Bungie, and here's what they had to say.
We've tried really hard to work on what the initial kit is for players that when they first get Prismatic, because we wanted to feel something that was really cool. Was
how many shelters can you have in Rust? I can't remember. Let's go try. Let's go try, or well, actually, I guess it would have been easier to just go out. I'm not gonna go all the way back in there. I don't know. Why is it your wall done? Did you get raided? I guess they just wanted to block their door. I'll just run over there and chop the tree, I guess. This road isn't busy enough. I should move to outpost. These are so perfect. Oh, I've reached my shelter limit. No. Well, I suppose it doesn't really matter. I can just throw up like a 1x1. Yeah, fuck it. I'll just throw up a 1x1. What does that matter? It's not like I need anything in there except a box and a spawn. That's it. I think I'll pick up my bag here. Yeah, make me, I guess I'll have to go shop a little bit more. That's okay. I'm gonna build a little 1x1 spawn here. They can't be corrupted or lost or anything. During prime time. During prime time, I won't farm. I'll just sit out. I'll sit here with in the shelter, and I'll wait for someone to come. They won't be able to see me here. Well, they will. They will, but it'll be hard for them to see it. It's yep. Like, in the ways that matter. Yeah, where's a really good spot where it's, like, totally hidden? Right, where the... Yep, right here. Or no. I can't do that. I have to build... Oh. Sad panda. quiet. There's someone here. Hi. That was fast. Yeah. I want the window. I want the window. Isn't that funny? Yeah, I want the window that I can, like, just see out of, you know? The fucking window. Yep. A fucking window, right? And when I get metal window bars, it'll be perfect. Oops. What's that? Thought I heard something. They can't really see me through the bush, see it? It's quite funny. Yeah, wooden window bars. So who cares? Who cares if they burn in wood window bars? What do I care about that? It's like a hunting blind. This thing is like a hunting blind. I'm just gonna farm the fucking road. It's like a human hunting blind. Do you see it? They're a reclusive male. they come walking down the road towards their future. Unbeknownst to them, I'm here ready to hose them as they go by. His corpse is annoying because all the flies are buzzing and it's annoying. I'm gonna go farm his body so it goes away. Yeah, who cares about this, right? I suppose that is actually kind of a fallacy because if they can get in here, it's a problem. So we definitely. But yeah, it's a wood hunting shack. Oh, someone's here already. It's already got me too. I just started filling this DC with like mats and stuff, and these boxes with mats that people drop. And the bodies are gonna pile up, aren't they? Why does he have pickles? I need complete silence for my hunting. This took me like 10 minutes. I think I hear someone. Swear to God, I heard somebody. It's all right. Sound is of the essence on this one. On this one. Shh. I'm hunting idiots. Okay, so yeah, I don't care about Destiny. I'm terribly sorry. I feel like you're trying to hide the fact that this is Destiny 2. No, I don't want to see that, no. Popeye the Sailor Man with Will Smith. Okay. I mean, why? I mean, isn't he like 65 now or something? Oh no, he's like 55. Yep, Furiosa looks fucking amazing. I can't wait. So, where's the other bit? Oh, yeah, yeah, I don't think I want to watch this anymore. It's about Destiny.
If you went to therapy and your counselor turned out to be a polyamorous transgender furry with multiple personalities, no need to imagine. You're about to find out. The person you're seeing is an online content creator and mental health counselor who goes by the name of Poppy, and in the past few years, they've been involved in a mire of drama and allegations. But before being Poppy, they were Joshua, an aspiring mental health worker who, in the early 2000s, married Juliana, a girl a few years older, with her being in her mid-20s and Joshua being just 19 years old. Most importantly, perhaps, she was 3 months pregnant with someone else's child. But he loved her so much that he was more than willing to marry her and adopt the child as his own. This isn't something many men are willing to do, but before you think this is some kind of admirable act of self-sacrifice in the name of love, Joshua, that is, after he became Poppy, not only came to regret this, but actually claimed that they were somehow groomed into the role of husband and parent, despite already being 19 years old when the decision to marry Juliana was made.
When I met my kid's mom, I buried every bit of trans that was in me and basically decided to do the whole like heteronormativity thing for a long time because I was A, scared of transitioning, and B, was thinking this was the right thing. I was an idiot, but it did give my kid a parent.
Whether Poppy here is a reliable narrator or not, I'll let you decide. But what's suggested is that they were already trans at this point, and internalized transphobia is what got them into that position. That, or this is just how Poppy rationalized their underlying wish for the regular family life they once had. Unfortunately, this is something they didn't experience for long, since soon after the marriage took place and the child was born, Juliana tragically passed away in a horse riding accident, leaving Joshua to be a single parent to their 3-year-old daughter. There's truly no overstating the magnitude of losing your partner while you still have a very small child to take care of, and part of everything that happens from here on out is set in motion by this event. According to Poppy, their daughter is autistic, though it's worth saying he deduced this was the case without a proper diagnosis from a doctor.
Yeah, so I was not always been the smartest smartest cookie. And one of the things is I didn't have any idea how autism worked because I don't have it. I knew how ADHD worked, you know, I had that down, but autism was not something I understood, and my kid was pretty autistic. And none of the doctors, the people I took them to, not a single person ever mentioned a damn thing, probably because they're AFAB.
Though information is scant on the pre-2010 years, we can assume that it was roughly during this period that Joshua attended Wayne State University, studying to eventually become a mental health counselor. He'd left a career in restaurant management behind to focus on getting the degrees he would need to do this, but despite these healthy ambitions, there were signs not everything was okay. The first sign of the extremely sexually impulsive behavior that would eventually be their undoing was when, immediately after his wife died, he got with a random goth chick from a Renaissance fair because she was hot and he needed someone in bed now that he wasn't married. I understand everyone deals with grief differently, not judging here, but they effectively put their child in danger. Poppy's daughter, whom I'll be referring to as Spawn since that's their online handle, eventually made a Tumblr post saying, "Poppy's first partner after my biological mom died was abusive and I still have trauma from that." It's unsure what exactly was meant by this because abusive can mean a whole variety of things. Regardless, it's very possible this is in reference to the aforementioned random goth girl, meaning Joshua's pleasure-seeking activity exposed his daughter to a freak, potentially some kind of predator. Speaking of predators, Poppy has also claimed that not only were they a victim of CSA, but, and I quote, they reduplicated it and did it to someone else, this someone else being their younger cousin. It's important to say that this event allegedly took place when Poppy was a teenager and obviously not operating at their full rational capacity. However, it is inevitably something to keep in mind going forward, since believe me, it will become relevant. Another thing to remember is that Poppy is also admitted to being abusive to Spawn, which is confirmed by the latter in the same Tumblr post I just read from. While Spawn didn't specify what this consisted of, they suggested that it wasn't that bad, at least in this post. After this first partner, there were 3 more that Spawn could remember, presumably taking place anywhere between 2004 and the mid-2010s, none of which are considered relevant. It's only in the mid to late 2010s that Poppy, at some point, still going by Joshua, meets Xena, their primary partner and the one who is most known for appearing in the streams, mostly staying quiet while doing activities like knitting or coloring. Go play Warhammer like a real autistic person. Due to her passive demeanor, it's easy to trick yourself into thinking Xena is somehow milder in nature than Poppy, but you'd be very wrong. Xena, like Poppy, has a checkered past, and while she probably would like for people to only focus on the one time she played the martyr and got heroically kicked out of a Boy Scout camp for admitting to being a lesbian, it's not the non-binary furry coming out of the closet that's interesting here, but the skeletons that are still in it. Not many specifics are known in regard to the people she allegedly victimized or the nature of her actions, but another Tumblr post, presumably from someone in the same LGBT community as her, said, "Do not trust Xena. She is an abusive misogynist who has assaulted women in LGBT safe spaces. She is an aggressive trans misogynist who intimidates trans women, refuses to allow discussion of her trans misogyny, and preys on trans women." Though I do have to emphasize that these are just allegations, so as always, take it with a grain of salt. To add another layer of Machiavellian behavior on top of these claims, many people, including Spawn, have said that the whole being a quiet little grandma thing on stream is fully an act, as behind the scenes, Xena is even more aggressive and domineering than Poppy. Now is as good of a time as any to get into the alphabet soup of illnesses these people have, beginning with Xena. There are a couple physical conditions like migraines and IBS. Remember, she's a furry and probably owns a fursuit. Imagine how bad it smells. These are often cited as reasons for her being unemployed, along with something called PMDD, which is short for premenstrual dysphoric disorder, meaning dysphoria associated with accentuated PMS symptoms. But it's not just not having a job that Xena uses these issues as an excuse for. Any and all bad behavior gets swept under the rug of her conditions. If she gets upset and takes her frustration out on people, no matter how aggressive and methodical she can get, it's all the fault of her PMDD. But there may be a little wrinkle in that explanation. Xena takes testosterone. The thing about taking T is in some cases it can literally give you roid rage, especially if you're someone with naturally low levels like she obviously would have. I'm not an endocrinologist, nor am I a specialist on PMDD, but while it is a real condition, it's not the root of her behavior issues, as many people would later point out. Seems odd that the testosterone doesn't even get considered in the discussion, but my point stands regardless. In Spawn's post, they describe Xena as not so bad when they first moved in, claiming that the only unusual thing about her was that she got sick very often due to their other housemates not being respectful about the substances they brought into the house. I'll have to do some text interpretation here because this could mean a lot of things. First off, it's entirely possible that housemates here may be referring to other partners of Poppy's due to their polyamorous lifestyle, but I'm not even sure that this was being practiced this early on in the timeline. As far as substances go, this may mean drug abuse was going on in the same household that a child lived in, which is worrisome to say the the least. However, knowing Xena has intestinal issues and can't eat gluten, it may just be talking about foods that triggered her IBS. But as the 2010s approached their latter half, a lot of things changed. First off, after aiming to become a provider of gender-affirming healthcare, Poppy decided to get high off their own supply and transition as well, which is when the Poppy name popped up. At this point, Xena was still a neutral to positive presence in the household, sometimes even aiding Spawn with school and disability services. However, things changed drastically when 2020 rolled around, and all of them were confined inside their home. The aforementioned housemates were no longer present at this point, which is important since this meant it was just Poppy, Xena, and Spawn, who despite not being a minor anymore, was still obviously the person with the least authority in the household, being seen as and treated like a child. Absent other people who could potentially serve as checks and balances for dysfunctional and abusive behavior, Xena's true nature reared its ugly head. Spawn's Tumblr post reads, "Xena gradually became meaner and more controlling of me, despite numerous claims of them not wanting to be my parent. This is where those structured chore times and meal times started to come into play. Now that Poppy was working from home, Xena had to be in the living room a lot. Poppy always defended me when Xena had arguments, one-sided yelling matches with me, but as time went on, she started siding with Xena more and more. I didn't really notice at first because I still loved and defended my mom. It was my friends who pointed out that my mom was treating me poorly in May of 2022. The trouble started way before that though. I just didn't realize it was abuse and mistreatment. We'll get to the details of these chore and meal restrictions later when they're elaborated on by Spawn in a document made after they left the household. While it's still possible, let's stay chronological. While 2020 was named as the year things began to change, it went by mostly silent, a kind of calm before the storm. It was only in February 2021 that Poppy began having an online presence to speak of, and that's when things really kicked into hyperdrive. The second video Poppy ever posted to their YouTube channel was about how all mental health counselors have to be left-wing for them to practice ethically. In and of itself, this is the kind of OG Tumblrina core content that gets you ridiculed online, but compared to their later actions, this is a fart in the wind. The third video detailed their personal history with BPD, a sign that Poppy was nearing final form. Like Cell from Dragon Ball Z, but with mental illnesses instead of Ki. Their interest in treating mental illnesses became, or maybe always was, secondary to developing them like a human petri dish. I will admit that I have no idea which of these are amateur self-diagnoses, and which are things real psychiatrists and psychologists have diagnosed Poppy with, but I'll go over all of them nonetheless. First off, they claim to have borderline personality disorder, and though the nature of this condition isn't super well understood, to put it bluntly, Poppy is to BPD the same way Xena is to PMDD, a mental condition that serves as an umbrella for any kind of misbehavior. Poppy also claims to have OSDD, and I'll save you from hearing the technical rigmarole and simplify it as a milder form of having multiple personalities, referred to as being plural. The thing is, being plural isn't recognized as a real thing, at least not yet. As a matter of fact, it's closely associated with kids who watch too much TikTok and start thinking they're anime characters in real life, and start giving themselves mental illnesses so that they have an identity to cling to. Before you consider the possibility that there is some credence to the claims of being plural, Poppy's headmates, because that's what they're referred to, are Penny, a tiger-shark hybrid described as a young girl, and Pepper, a tiger-spider hybrid that is canonically 12 to 14 years old. Does this sound creepy and insane to you? It probably should. Poppy's main identity also has an animal self, a hyena, specifically because female hyenas have what is called a pseudo-penis. I won't go too deep into explaining how that works because this video is already enough as is, but from the names with alliteration, the personas, and the bizarre age-related connotations, all of this is pretty disturbing, especially since Poppy has publicly admitted to having victimized a minor once, but we'll get to the practical implications of these alters later. The content being released was par for the course. One claims that not dating trans people if you were straight meant you were a Nazi, and another begged everyone to wear masks, nothing too unusual for the political ideology Poppy espoused. Let's also not forget that the thumbnails of these videos looked like decomposing remains of an Armored Skeptic clone from 2014. Perhaps one of the most important and hypocritical pieces of content is one video titled "Authoritarian Parenting Can Lead to Abuse." Unsurprisingly, it seems that is exactly what's going on behind the scenes. As previously mentioned, Spawn eventually made a document cataloging the Discord messages they sent about the abuse going on at their house. The document noticeably doesn't cover the years 2020 and 2021, probably because Spawn was still under the illusion that Poppy and Xena's behavior was somehow redeemable. believing that it'd eventually stop and normal life would resume. However, after 2 years, not only did nothing improve, but it actually got worse. I can only assume that 2022 is when Spawn worked up the courage to start telling others about what they were going through. Many things documented here aren't that egregious, but instead they serve as proof that Poppy and Xena are only really hypersensitive when it serves them. For example, there's an instance here of Poppy saying that triggers are bullshit, something the majority of their audience would probably be appalled by. But there are some serious claims here as well. In May of 2022, Spawn describes how Xena forbade her from showering because she might need to use the bathroom, without specifying when. The context of this is that Spawn hadn't bathed in days and was walking around in 80-degree heat. Once they got home, Spawn, over text messages, asked Xena for permission to use the shower and got it, only for the permission to immediately be revoked, with Xena saying, "Actually, you should wait until we get home so the dog won't be alone for the 15 to 20 minutes you'll be in the shower for." If this seems like someone making up arbitrary rules just for the pleasure of micromanaging someone else, it's because that's what it is. Just 10 days later, Xena delivers a prolonged browbeating session over text messages, repeatedly telling Spawn not to move any of her things whatsoever, regardless of circumstance. The thing is, they're talking about objects that were sprawled over the couch, and Spawn only moved them to clean the room. In June, we get an exchange in which Poppy is complaining about how long it took Spawn to do the dishes, neglecting the fact that there were 3 days worth of dishes in the kitchen. I'm starting to believe in the horseshoe theory because of this. This is Mussolini tier obsession with punctuality. The trains must run on time. No more chuddies jumping on the bed. Spawn proceeds to complain about this on Discord, saying, "You can't offload 3 days of dishes on me and then get mad when it takes a long time. Then they got mad at me for waking up late and got mad at me for starting my bed routine 30 minutes late. I am 22, but every aspect of my life is time. I still have a bedtime, and they keep moving said bedtime earlier and earlier because of not doing other things on time. I literally have ADHD, autism, and a heart condition. I can't always do things on time, especially in the heat because of my blood disorder, which means heat affects me so much worse. I collapsed a few weeks ago, and we don't have an AC and haven't since March." The blood disorder being referred to here is POTS, a condition that can be really debilitating depending on severity. Basically, it means being upright for too long, and excess heat can cause intense fatigue, nausea, and other similar symptoms. Again, for someone with this condition, an AC isn't just a convenience, but can actually keep them functional while indoors. It would be inconsiderate for a regular person to leave their kid with POTS for 3 months without AC, but considering how much Poppy and Xena virtue signal about being supportive and wholesome in their content, it's a highlight of their hypocrisy. In another incident, Spawn went to the kitchen later than usual, only for Xena to tell them they couldn't get lunch anymore. Attached is an exchange between Poppy and Spawn, which went as follows. "I get that I was late, but I need food. I should be allowed to get food when I need it. Poppy, we have a schedule in our house. You need to follow that. Xena doesn't get personal time with constant interruptions. While I agree with you that making lunch shouldn't be an issue, in the past, the problem is that often making lunch has been noisy or a time to overly interact with Xena. You are also positive with COVID. That's an issue as well. Please remember that. The schedule as a whole is more important because it will prevent close contact."
Ooh, fancy gloves. Nice. Three people in 2 hours. And now back to my base where none of the people whose stuff I stole can get at me. Ooh, only 20. Not bad. as time goes on, prime time starts. It's like 5 p.m. and I'll only see more and more people on the road. And that's what I'll do in the evenings instead of farm. I'll just cap them, let them farm. As I get more and more scrap, I'll build a T2 and I'll start buying guns and stuff, but sooner or later, one of them's gonna drop a gun, you know? Yeah, I don't really see a way to... I want to learn that. I'm trying to think of devious ways to kill people with that base. I want a shotgun trap. I want to put a shotgun trap on the side of the base. So if they come around trying to kill me, they just get wasted. It's like, that was the devious stuff I was thinking about. I was like, how can I make it worse for them? It's not really a trap base. It's more like a, you know... I think of it as like, you know, ant lining. Like, it's like you're an ant lion. You just sit there and wait for somebody full of loot to come along. Preferably somebody on the way to recycle it at Harbor. For some reason, they seem to really come by here a lot, too. Yeah, we'll just, like, listen for them now.
That being sick made them hungrier than usual, to no avail. I don't know about you, but I find it strange that Poppy is willing to let their biological child go hungry while they're sick, mind you, just to give Xena uninterrupted personal time. The interruption here being noises in the kitchen, which I guess are enough to disturb her precious peace. Another example of this is when Spawn recounts having to go get water from the fridge in order to take their medication, only for this to disturb Xena, who started complaining about how that should have been done ahead of time. The only reason Spawn was doing that was that their tap water was shut off due to maintenance, something unpredictable and not within their control. I have to make a caveat here to say, is Xena sleeping in the kitchen? What kind of arrangement is this that you can't do absolutely anything in the kitchen? Otherwise, the Dark Souls boss that is your furry stepmom will awaken and hurt you. Just a day later, Spawn says, convinced Xena is genuinely trying to starve me. I was about to make spaghetti, and Xena told me to make something quick. I go to make a PB&J, but realize I don't have any jelly, so I ask my parents if I can use their Smucker's brand one, and they say yes. Already put peanut butter on one half of the sandwich at this point, realize the Smucker's jelly is moldy and smells really bad, so I ask if I can use the other jelly in the fridge that's Xena's, for, need I remind you, a single sandwich. Xena says no and says, if I let you use it, then I won't have any left. Poppy has to convince them to let me use their jelly for one singular sandwich. Arbitrarily controlling food intake is a very common kind of abuse of parental authority, and given Xena is on test, as we've already established, it may be the cause of this antagonistic and territorial relationship she developed with the Spawn. However, while Xena was the main person behind terrorizing Spawn, Poppy also played a role. Despite regularly complaining that it was Spawn's own fault that their blood disorder acted up, claiming that they weren't eating properly, Poppy did things like labeling and withholding salami, one of the very few sources of protein in the house. I guess the furry thing was realer than I thought. These people are behaving like actual animals and claiming food like they're hunter-gatherers. From acting like putting plastic cups in the dishwasher was unforgivable, to yelling at Spawn for proactively putting up a gate for their dog, a chore that Poppy and Xena had neglected to do for months, it seemed there was nothing Spawn could do to please them. To make matters worse, Poppy told Spawn things like, I don't think you can ever repair what you've done to your relationship with Xena, as if she was the one at fault for it deteriorating. Spawn was yelled at for going to the kitchen outside of their allotted time, yelled at for moving furniture to vacuum their bedroom, and punished with more chores. When Spawn complained, Poppy and Xena said that the domestic issues should be discussed during family meetings. But when the time came for these meetings, they either ignored everything or claimed Spawn was in the wrong. Noticing that things were being pushed to their breaking point, Poppy and Xena decided to task Spawn with making a list of things they were upset about, and the list was promptly made. It pointed out that Poppy and Xena didn't respect the strict bathroom and kitchen times, and for things to be fair, everyone should have free access to all common areas of the house. Additionally, Spawn complains that P and Z often didn't do their chores at all, letting them accumulate until Spawn had to do them all. While Poppy and Xena could opt out of doing something if they had a migraine, Spawn had to thug it out no matter how bad their pots got, and not only get things done, but get them done on time. To add to the previous mention of arbitrarily controlling food intake, not only was Spawn frequently forbidden from entering the kitchen, they also couldn't even bring snacks with them into their room, not even if they were drinks, which people with pots regularly need to maintain their salt intake and treat their condition. Based on the list alone, it's easy to interpret that while Poppy just seems negligent and occasionally unfair, Xena is systematically abusive by doing things like limiting Spawn's access to the dog for no reason and deliberately excluding Spawn from meals. It looks as if any source of positive reinforcement was getting cut off. One of the most damning aspects of the control they had was that no money was to be spent without approval from Poppy and Xena, even if the money belonged to Spawn, something many people have called financial abuse, since Poppy did, at one point, threaten to freeze Spawn's account. The list was concluded with a warning that if these complaints weren't attended to, Spawn intended to move out. This wasn't an empty threat, since Spawn had been planning to do so already, speaking to an unnamed friend to secure temporary housing in case the abuse worsened. However, Poppy caught wind of this and got mad at Spawn for it. This was Poppy's assessment of the list. Half of the list items were just dishonest, and half of them were partial framings that ignored any context. To be clear, I'm not a perfect parent. I was young, abusive, and shitty when they were young, and dealing with the grief of their mom dying. But I spent 15 years in therapy and Zen Buddhism trying to make up for that shit, only to watch them try to become a wedge between myself and my fiancé. Text messages show Xena becoming upset at merely being asked what her credit score was, despite the context obviously being to help Spawn move out. Poppy and Xena's complete lack of cooperation put the plans to move out on an indefinite hold. Meanwhile, after spending a week at a friend's place, Spawn comes back to find out that the house was so neglected in their absence that actual mold had grown on the counter. Not some moist and dark corner of the house, the kitchen counter. Every attempt to make domestic living less confusing and conflicting was shot down, usually by Xena, who refused to do simple things like use tone indicators over messages to improve communication, which is, I don't even understand why this is tone indicators. Why are tone indicators needed? Or let Spawn use the microwave after they hadn't eaten anything for 8 hours. On that last part, Spawn did eventually eat 2 hours later, making for a total of 10 hours without food because Xena might get a migraine. Xena refused to drive Spawn to the dentist because she might get a migraine. Xena accused Spawn of lying about their POTS. Xena deliberately used Spawn's mealtime, preventing them from eating anything. Are you getting the picture here? It's important to note that at this point, not only was Spawn paying for rent, but also paying for the food they ate, meaning there was absolutely nothing justifying their lack of authority over anything. The extremely strict rules